Hello, my friend. I'm so excited to dive into this week's podcast episode for you on this week's astrology. Oh my goodness. It's going to be a week. I'm quite excited for this week. This is the last week Mars will be retrograde in the sign of Cancer. So, in this episode, I'll be diving deep into what the transits of this week mean for you. I will also be sharing a story on burnout and how to know if you're burnt out, what this looks like in terms of not feeling joy, not feeling happy in terms of where you're at. I will then dive into your tarot reading for this week of what energy to embrace, what energy to let go of. So let's just dive right into it. Let's start off with the 18th of February. The sun enters Pisces, so Pisces season begins, and I'll be sending off your Pisces season horoscopes very soon, so stay tuned for that. Now, with Pisces season, it's very important to note that the astrological new year begins with Aries season on March 20th. With Pisces season, because it's the last sign of the zodiac, we're going to go through a deep purge. We are going to really release, let go of a lot of things. I want to give you a heads up because March's astrology is a bit intense because we have a Venus retrograde, we have a Mercury retrograde, and we also have eclipses. So we'll be in eclipse season, and that's a lot of energy. That's a lot of energy. I'll be diving deeper into that in March, yet I want you to prepare. I want you to know that it's going to be a little bit hectic, a bit dramatic, yet also know that this is a week where you're going to move into this deeper spiritual pull of tapping into your emotions in a deeper way, of feeling more of your feelings, of figuring out what you still need to let go of from the past. And Pisces season is really dreamy, it's very growth oriented, it's very much this delusional type of energy in the best possible way. Yet we can get a bit stuck in the fog. We can get a bit stuck in the mist of things. So I want you to be prepared. I personally still love Pisces season, yet it can feel a little bit like breathing underwater sometimes. And this is helping you see, okay, what am I still processing? What do I need to move away from? So Pisces season begins on February 18th, and on February 20th, we have Mercury in Pisces squared Jupiter in Gemini. So this is interesting. You could be having a lot of conversations this day. You could feel like there's a lot going on. You could feel like your attention span is really overwhelmed at this time. You could potentially be having a lot of conversations with friends or trying to make plans, but things feel a little bit confusing. It feels a little bit hectic. This is also very lovely in terms of trying to think ahead for your goals with certain friends. Maybe you're planning something for the future, or perhaps you are in an emotional state and a few friends really need someone to talk to and they're reaching out to you. This is a possibility. I see this energy as us kind of feeling a bit bombarded by the news, by what's happening right now. We're being very confused. There's just so much going on in terms of what's happening in the world, what's happening in the US, how it's impacting other countries. I know for Canada, we're very scared over here. I don't want this to overwhelm you, right? Make sure you're setting boundaries for yourself of how much you're paying attention to the news, how much you're absorbing. Of course, it's good to be informed. Of course, it's good to really just pick a few topics and focus on those and what you can do. Maybe that be signing petitions, maybe that is sharing information, may that be going to a community meeting and figuring out what course of action to take. There's so many different things you could do, but make sure you are taking space for yourself and not overwhelming yourself in this process. right? You need that time to rest, you need that time to breathe. Yet I also see this energy as us being very optimistic with our friends, us feeling as though we're being supported emotionally by our connections, by our partnerships. This could also look like going to a therapist and just feeling like you're in a better place, or just realizing, okay, I need more emotional support, more spiritual support. May this be through birth chart readings, may this be through creating a buddy system with a friend and keeping each other accountable for your goals, for what you want to set forth. So keep this in mind for this day. Now, on the 23rd of February, we have Neptune conjunct the North Node in Pisces. Now, this feels very dreamy. This feels as though we're being spiritually called right now to do something in our life. We're being spiritually called to connect with someone emotionally. May this be a friend, may this be a mentor, may this be an astrologer, may this be a therapist, may this be a partnership in some form. And it's helping us with our fulfillment, our calling, our destiny in some way. The North Node in astrology represents where we're heading this lifetime, where we're going. It's this pull where we're trying to achieve something this lifetime, and that's what we're being called to do. Where the South Node is what we're leaving behind this lifetime, what we're letting go of. We can get trapped in our South Node energy if we're not too careful. Now, with Neptune conjunct the North Node, Neptune is the planet of dreams, of artistic expression, of really tuning into your intuition. And with Neptune, it can be a little bit confusing. We could feel like we're not seeing things very clearly around our path forward, yet we're trying to really trust our destiny right now. We're really trying to trust the universe, and you could feel really called to do something more artistic or more spiritual this day, such as meditation, journaling would be great. Really pay attention to what happens for you this day. Now, what's also happening this day is Mercury in Pisces is trine Mars in Cancer. So this is very lovely. This is very supportive. This is us really feeling like we have this good channel between our communication, our thinking, and what we have to accomplish, the work we're doing, or perhaps even our dating life in some form. This looks like we are in a good flow state, and we're trying to really figure out which emotional partnerships are helping us with our goals in terms of our career, in terms of the emotional work we're doing. This also looks like maybe perhaps you're having some really lovely conversations with your mom, you're having some really lovely conversations about your home, and it's helping you take action to do some home renos or to really make your space a bit more emotionally safe, or to really make your space a bit more emotionally comforting for yourself, what that looks like for you. Or perhaps you're having more conversations around family and home and what you could potentially do to lend emotional support to your family members. This could also look like really tuning into your artistic expression and your intuition and figuring out, okay, what do I necessarily have to change or edit or revise in my home life? Or do I need to approach my dating life in a different way? This is because this day is the last day Mars will be retrograde in the sign of Cancer. And Mars is the planet of action, it's the planet of work, it's the planet of how we initiate in terms of dating. So we're going to be really reflective this day, because when it stations direct on the 24th, this is honestly going to be a little bit of a confusing day, yet I'm happy to say when Mars stations direct, we're going to feel more energized. We're going to feel as though, okay, I could take more action, I can get more done. This is super, super helpful. maybe not that exact day on the 24th. I do think we're going to feel as though there's a lot to do. We could feel a little bit more overwhelmed with Mars stationing direct. Yet, because Mercury is in this trine to Mars, this is super helpful. This is also very nostalgic, I will say. I do think you're going to have some very nostalgic conversations with friends, with coworkers, with the people you work with. This looks very supportive. And I would also say this can give you some really good inspiration for how you need to move forward in terms of your work life, in terms of your dating life. So I'm loving that transit. Yet I also want you to think about what was happening for you October 5th, 2024. Because when Mars stations direct in the sign of Cancer on February 24th, we're moving back to a time around October 2024, and you're going to see a situation differently. This is really interesting to consider. Now, Mars will stay at this degree for a few days, yet I want you to really deeply think about, has anything changed for you since the beginning of October? What does this look like for you? And what exactly do you need to let go of? Are you letting go of any emotional attachments? Did you during this time when Mars was retrograde? Do you feel like you were a bit more burnt out with Mars retrograde? Do you feel like it gave you some good reflection of what you need to change in your life? Especially with that previous full moon in Leo, I think a lot of us felt this push to really change something when it came to our life, depending on what your rising sign was, what your sun sign was. Yet, I want you to really go back, see what was happening for you in October, because we are tracing back our steps, and that's going to help you move forward. That's going to help you see, okay, maybe I'm seeing a situation in a different way now. So I love this energy for us. I love that this is the last week Mars is retrograde, and this is such a relief for us, honestly, because Mars retrogrades, I would say they don't happen that often. They happen approximately every 18 months to 2 years, and they can be really frustrating for us. It can really be a time when more repressed anger comes to light. We could feel like we were very petty with Mars in Cancer retrograde. That's more so the dark side. Yet, I want you to consider what this period taught you. What was the major theme for you with Mars retrograde in Cancer? Please let me know in the comments. I'm so curious to see what came up for you during this Mars retrograde. I know for myself, I felt super drained. I felt more tired. I had to really slow things down for myself. Yet it was a really good period for me to really release any emotional attachments for myself and figure out what I want to be doing for my work, for putting more offers out there, for sharing more of myself. So I'm excited to see what comes into fruition during this week for you, because I'm hoping you get that little boost of energy after the 24th. So those are the major transits of this week. I also want to mention that if you would like a private birth chart reading with me, I just have one spot left for February, so I'd love to dive deeper into your birth chart if you're feeling called to get my perspective, to dive deep into your career, your relationships, your business, your life path, your strengths, your challenges, your family patterns, whatever you want to focus on. So I'll leave a link to that if you want my support, if you want some help. Now, let's dive into the story for this week. And for myself, I wanted to touch on burnout because I know I spoke about burnout previously. I know I spoke about it a few months ago as well. Yet, I didn't really fully describe what burnout can look like. And for myself, I remember a few years ago when I was constantly trying to work on my business. I constantly was churning out content. I remember this was when I just recently launched my astrology practice in 2021. And for myself, I was constantly putting out my work. I was putting out so much, and I remember just feeling exhausted. I felt like I couldn't do anything but focus on work. I felt like I didn't have that joy that I previously had in terms of my work because honestly, I love what I do so much. I love astrology so much. I wouldn't be filming these episodes or giving horoscopes on my VIP membership or hosting events with the Moon Sign Creative Community or giving birth chart readings if I didn't love astrology and saw the power of how astrology changed my life. Yet for me, I remember when I first launched my business, I really knew it was going to be hard, yet for myself, I kind of got myself in this trap of just running on this hamster wheel of exhaustion. I just felt overwhelmed. And at first, you think some of the signs are just feeling more tired, you don't have the energy to do things. Yet, what's interesting for me is sometimes I had the energy. Sometimes I did have this spark to create. Yet, there was a period of time where I was creating, but I didn't feel joy from it. And I didn't feel happy. I felt more so like I wasn't being useful. I didn't feel like it was meaning anything. It just felt as though I was in a different space and I felt so disheartened by the work I was doing. And to be honest, this was a very tough period because I kept thinking, no, I have to do more, more, more. I kept having to produce a lot more content, and I do produce a lot of content. I still do, but I honestly really love making content. I really love creating horoscopes and also deeper dives on my podcast as well as my VIP membership. Yet, for me, that's when I knew I was burnt out, was when I lost that joy. I lost feeling happy in terms of the work I was doing. And I've experienced this multiple times, not just at the beginning of my astrology practice, but then also when I was a professor and I was teaching graphic design to first year students. I was teaching design process, and I remember how miserable I was because I worked for years trying to get this professor position. I went back to do my master's in digital media. I was a TA for 3 years before my master's program. And when I finally got that professor position, I realized, oh, this isn't what I wanted to be doing. And I just didn't feel like I was making a difference. I didn't feel like there was anyone who cared if I was there. Now, I did have some really great students. Please keep this in mind. I did have some really amazing students, yet there are more students who didn't care than there were who did really, really appreciate the work that I was doing. And I understand, depending on if you actually wanted to go to school or not, there is a big difference in terms of how someone shows up. Now, I remember at that time, I did feel really burnt out, but in a different way. I felt burnt out because I didn't have that fulfillment. I didn't have that joy. I was misaligned. And this is really important to note. If you're going through your nodal opposition, meaning that, for example, your north node is in Virgo and your south node is in Pisces, this is important to note because you're going through your nodal opposition now because the north node is in Pisces and the south node is in Virgo. When you have something that is misaligned for you, that is when you're going to feel unfulfilled. That's when you're going to feel like, okay, this is not what I should be doing. that is when people will be pushed out of your life, and it can be a bit devastating. This could be really, really difficult. So keep this in mind. Now, going back to burnout for myself, I remember that I didn't have that creative spark that I loved so much. And when I go back to just the first year of when I launched my astrology practice, I knew the thing that would help me the most was me making content that really resonates with me, that really spoke to me and my clients, but then also what I wish I knew years ago, what I wish I knew growing up, what I wish someone told me. And the thing that pulled me out of that burnout is looking at my Jupiter sign and really focusing on the amazing beneficial qualities of Jupiter. Because the dark side of Jupiter can lead to burnout. And this is also true for Mars as well. So the dark side of both Mars and Jupiter can lead to burnout. Yet, the dark side of Jupiter, in terms of this burnout, can look like you need to keep doing more to stop yourself from burning out, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I thought that if I could just get ahead of the game, if I could just make more content, if I could just do more things, that's gonna stop my feeling of not feeling enough, of not feeling like I am tired and exhausted, which doesn't make any sense, right? Because you need rest to be productive. You need space to really create, to get more ideas. Yet, I really was stuck in this mentality that doing more would get me to my goals faster. And sometimes this works. This is a part of hustle culture, yet for myself, it did not work at all because I would burn out every single week. And I remember feeling so exhausted. I felt depressed. I felt like I couldn't really do the things I loved. And there's more extreme examples of burnout where you can end up in the hospital, where you could just feel like your heart is pounding, where you could just feel like you have pushed yourself to the extreme, right? So I'm not talking about that kind of burnout. If you're at that point, please, please rest, please recharge, please change something in your life because that is so extreme. If you're at a point of burnout where you can't even do small tasks around your house, like you can't wash the dishes, you can't make food for yourself, you can't even go and pick up food in terms of takeout for yourself, you can't physically do the walks that used to bring you joy, that is when you know you're burnt out, right? And this is something I still struggle with in terms of small tasks and wanting to get those things done. Yet there's some days where I remember my place was a mess and I wanted to do the work and I wanted to just clean, but I couldn't. I couldn't do it. It was just overwhelming me. And with Jupiter currently in Gemini, luckily Jupiter is now direct, so this is honestly really, really helpful for us. Yet Jupiter was retrograde in the sign of Gemini for us. So this burnout looked like we were absorbing so much information. We couldn't focus on one thing. We couldn't really be in a place where we could take in and narrow down and deep dive into one topic. We were trying to take so much from every little thing and put them together, which can still be great. Yet this honestly was exhausting us because it can be overwhelming trying to keep up with every little thing, right? And you could have just felt like it took longer for you to respond to people in terms of text messages or emails. This is what happened for me personally. Like I felt with Jupiter retrograde in Gemini, I was taking a lot longer, like a few days, to respond to friends when it only used to take me a day. right? And I think that's a really interesting thing to think about because I remember when it was so much faster for me to respond to people, yet because I was overwhelmed by communication, that is when I felt like I needed time and space before I could respond to someone. So if you're still going through this, please let me know. Yet, what has really helped me and really shifted things for me was really tapping into my Jupiter in Leo in my chart and understanding, okay, how can I tune into this energy and the more beneficial qualities of this? And this, in retrospect, has given me some of the most amazing opportunities. I remember when I really focused on this energy, this would look like a friend inviting me to Mexico, and I was a part of their wedding, but they actually paid for a part of my trip. And that's where I'm luckiest is my friendships, is my network with Jupiter, my 11th house. But also, it gave me this blessing of experiencing something new. It was such a lovely, beneficial thing that they did for me. And when I looked at my Jupiter sign and really tried to focus on this energy, it really helped me grow my TikTok following to over 70K. It's helped me grow my community. It's helped me in terms of showing up more, but feeling like I have more energy to do so, feeling like I have more joy again when it came to the work I'm producing, when it came to the creative work I wanted to share with the world. So I love this in terms of my Jupiter sign because honestly, when I really focused on tapping into that portion of my chart, it gave me the strategy to go viral on TikTok. It gave me the energy to do more creative work. And it was me understanding this and then understanding, okay, when is too much too much? When do I dive into the dark side of Jupiter? And how do I differentiate this? So this is something I really focus on in my Maximize Your Magnetism course, activating your Jupiter sign for opportunities and growth in your career. This is such a life-changing course because it really helps you tune into your own innate strengths, your own innate ability to change your life through your Jupiter sign and how that can actually be super beneficial, super lucky because Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, opportunity, and wisdom. And a lot of previous students who've taken the course really started to understand how to use Jupiter in a more practical way based on their birth chart. This is a course where you can look into your specific Jupiter sign, the house Jupiter is in for you, and I give you practical habits to do every day to really change your life and use it to your advantage. Now, what's also very juicy is you can come back to this course every single year because I have students who go back to this course every year and they check to see where Jupiter is currently in the sky and how it's affecting their current birth chart. So now Jupiter is currently in Gemini. So going into the Jupiter in Gemini module, seeing how they can use that to their advantage in terms of their career and how to really take advantage of it right now for themselves. So I'm getting such amazing feedback from this course. A lot of students got more opportunities when it came to being a podcast guest and sharing their network, growing their community, getting more leads for their business. And this in turn also got them more clients that paid them for their offers, but then also attracting more growth oriented, optimistic, uplifting friendships. So this really depends on your specific Jupiter sign, but then if you're looking to really double the opportunities you get in your career or your business through your birth chart to really see those strengths, then come join us for the live Q&A for the course. I'm having it this week, so you can grab your spot, take advantage of it. Honestly, I'll be pulling up your birth chart. You're getting this mini private session from me which honestly is so sweet. And then you have the course for the rest of your life. So come take advantage of this. If you're watching this at a later date, again, I'll be doing these live Q&As quite constantly, so don't worry about that. But you can also just get immediate access to the course. So you can binge watch the course and really take advantage of your specific Jupiter sign, see how you can implement those habits right away to get you more opportunities in the next 60 days. It's honestly mind-blowing to see the results of some of the clients that have taken this course. So I'm super, super excited for this live Q&A. I can't wait to see you there. Please message me if you have any questions about this. And I really hope sharing the story about burnout really helped you in terms of reflecting on, are you really resisting your own joy? Are you really doing things in terms of your work that you fully love doing? Are you burning yourself out? Do you feel like you're still trapped in terms of the cycle? And do you want to break free from it? This is so important, right? Make sure that you are prioritizing your joy. Because yes, of course, we need to be responsible. We need to take care of ourselves. But if you're at a point where you just feel like you have to keep doing more and more and more and you're not catching up, this is a sign for you to change something in your life, to either invest in yourself or to just take a break and rest and recharge, right? So I really hope that story inspired you to really take care of yourself in a new way and to really prioritize your joy and see it as a blessing, because it is. Your joy is very, very important. Now, let's get into your tarot reading for this week. The first card out is the Eight of Pentacles reverse. So, very interesting in terms of our discussion this week on burnout, because honestly, this card is screaming that you could feel like you're just doing too much. You've been overworking yourself. You could feel like you're just working so hard and you're not seeing the rewards, you're not seeing the benefit of this. Also, this is another sign of the dark side of Jupiter where you're just doing more, you're not seeing results, there's something that needs to change. This is a letting go. So I want you to take a step back. I want you to take a break, take a nap, take time to rest, schedule out time for yourself where you are really fully resting. You're giving yourself permission to take it easy, go to the beach, do something that is fulfilling, that's fun, do something different for yourself, because this is a sign that something needs to change. You need to let this go. If you feel like you just have to keep going and you can't take it easy, I want to ask you, okay, but how can you make space for more amazing things to come in if you're constantly on the go, if you're constantly working? Ask yourself that. The next card out is the Eight of Wands reverse. So this is a card to really let go of really all these messages that you're receiving. Maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed by the communication right now that's happening. Maybe you just feel like there's just so much on your plate. It's so interesting how these cards came about for this week's discussion on burnout, but I see this also that you're letting go of a potential trip that you're supposed to go on, or you're changing direction. You're trying to change course. Maybe you thought you were going to launch something and then you realized actually it would be better if I wait a bit and I really focus in on new opportunities or this specific venue or this specific person that I could speak to. This is a card of really just letting go of the hustle mentality, right? I think what's really important for us to remember is if we think that working more is going to get us to our goals faster, that is part of scarcity thinking. right? Because having an abundance mindset is reminding yourself that actually me resting, taking care of myself, is being abundant, is me attracting more of what I want in my life. And it's showing the universe that you care about yourself, that you value yourself. So, this is a card to let go of juggling too much on your plate, of feeling like you have to be everywhere, of feeling like you're super, super scattered, you're overwhelmed by this. Focus in on your priorities this week. I'm really hearing that message. Focus on your priorities this week. What are your priorities? List out your top 3 priorities and just put everything else off. Maybe you don't have to reach all 10 of your goals this year. Maybe you can focus on 3 goals, and that is going to give you so much more peace of mind. I'm really hearing that message. The next card out is the Knight of Cups. So, this is a beautiful card of love and fulfillment, but also I see this as a sign where this week someone's going to really show up for you. You're going to see how much emotional support you actually have. And this could be for yourself too. Maybe this is you investing in yourself. Maybe this is you taking a break. Maybe this is you making yourself brownies. I really want to do that right now. Maybe this is you just showing yourself more love, speaking to yourself in a kinder way, and prioritizing what would give you that emotional fulfillment. Maybe you've been putting off doing some self care practices, and this is the week to prioritize that. So perhaps this is going on a walk, perhaps this is going on a hike, perhaps this is getting that birth chart reading, perhaps this is spending a night in and just making art, doing it for fun, doing what was fun for you as a kid. I love this card. This is showing yourself that love, but knowing that more love is coming in, that there's an abundance of love. So I love this card. Now, our challenge this week is the Ten of Cups reverse. So this is interesting. This is a letting go of what you thought was going to make you happy. This is you not being stuck in a certain mindset of things have to look this way and then I'll be happy. Oh, okay, I'm really hearing this message of you think that doing all this work and really pushing yourself to the extreme is going to make you happy because you're going to get that result, but that result might not even make you happy. I think we often think that. Like, I remember when I was mentioning the professor position that I worked for 5 years at or more, and when I finally got that role, I did it for the wrong reasons. I did it for the prestige. And then I realized that wasn't going to make me happy, right? So, this card is a reminder that sometimes you think that doing a certain thing or being a certain way or hiding where your strengths are, where you actually shine, your authenticity, you think that might make other people happy and then that will make you happy. But in reality, this is a card of really tuning into how can you be happy now? How can you give yourself permission to be happy now, to find and seek that joy in the most healthiest way? I say this because, you don't want to numb your pain. Do not overindulge in drugs or alcohol or whatever. This is a card of speaking to your soul and understanding, okay, what does my soul really need right now? Is that really just spending a day going to the beach, making my childhood self happy, going to the movies? I did that for myself just to be there, just to have that experience. Maybe this is investing in your knowledge, getting a course, or learning something new, or planning a trip that you've always wanted to take. This is a card of knowing that it doesn't have to be a certain way. You can be happy right now. You can be happy with what you have right now. You just have to see it in a different perspective. So I love this reminder. I asked what would get us there faster, and we got the Hanged Man reverse. So this Mars retrograde, I'm really seeing this as this current Mars retrograde, you could have felt like you were just observing. You couldn't really take the action you wanted to take. You were working so much, but you weren't getting any results. You were overdoing it, but you just couldn't stop. This Hanged Man reverse is telling you, okay, you've got the information. You know what you need to change. You know what you need to do. You know what would help you. You know the people who would help you the most. Now is the time to take action. Now is the time to come out of things, to stop limiting yourself, stop holding yourself back. And this is a week to get out there and to make things happen for yourself in the best possible way, to experience that joy, to see what's actually working in your life, right? Focus on that energy, focus on that feeling. So we're coming out of this stagnant hermit phase and we're seeing things in a new perspective. This makes so much sense with Mars going direct. It's not going to be this week, it's going to be the beginning of next week, but I want to give you a heads up on that. Now, your oracle cards are celebrate little things. So I love this card, very important. Celebrate your wins, celebrate what is going right in your life right now. How can you focus on the beauty of your everyday routine? That's going to get you far. Celebrate all your wins. Celebrate the little things because that's going to give you so much joy. We also got Love Your Dark Side Too. So I love this. I also love getting this card when I spoke on the dark side of Jupiter and the, bright side of Jupiter. So this is a card of making sure you're accepting all parts of yourself. Are you hiding yourself? Are you hiding your needs from yourself? Are you hiding your desires? Maybe sometimes when we're ashamed or we're afraid of asking people what we need, or we're afraid of asking for help or seeking help in external places. There's a part of us that's ashamed of needing something, of wanting something, of desiring something. And I want you to know that your desires are important. You wouldn't have those desires if they weren't meant for you. You wouldn't have wants and needs if you didn't need something. If you, it's being human. It's knowing that we're all human and sometimes we have needs. Sometimes it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. Be vulnerable with what you're seeking, with what you're needing, with what you want, right? And show yourself that love and compassion first. Make sure you're showing yourself that kindness and being honest with yourself throughout this process. Yeah, wow, I'm really hearing that message. That was a very strong channeled message. We also got be clear about what you want. So this is really important. I'm really hearing that with Jupiter retrograde in Gemini for quite a few months, I think we got very mixed up, maybe stirred up, maybe it was very confusing to really focus on something. And now with Jupiter direct, this is going to help us get clear about what you actually want, right? Speak it out into existence. May this be a relationship. May this be a new job opportunity. May this be a new business strategy. Maybe this is a new mentor. Maybe this is a new coach. Maybe this is someone who deeply understands you, or you just showing up for yourself and you saying, I want to be seen, and you putting yourself out there and making your first YouTube video. It could be as simple as that. Be clear about what you want, because you can't get what you want if you don't say what you want, if you're not understanding what you actually want. So I love this reminder. I love this message. The last card out, this is from the Cosmic Magic Oracle deck by Valerie Tehega, one of my friends. Honestly, such a beautiful deck. Such a gorgeous deck. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am pulling cards on YouTube so you can see all of these cards, but we pulled the Rest card, the Waning Crescent card. So this is beautiful. So I really think this is a sign for this week to make sure you're scheduling in time for rest, make sure you're scheduling time to recharge, make sure you're scheduling in time to take a break. Are you resisting the rest that you actually need? How are you doing this? Right? This is a good card and reminder to take a break, to replenish your energy. I love that she's in a bath too. Oh my gosh. Take a bath this week if you enjoy baths. But this is a great reminder. Take time for yourself this week. And if you'd like to join me for the live Q&A for the Maximize Your Magnetism course, I'll leave a link to that down below. I can't wait to pull up your chart and really look at your Jupiter sign to share how you can tap into your magnetic energy. And if you'd like a private birth chart reading with me, I'll leave a link to that down below as well. Thank you so much for listening, friend. I hope this gave you some inspiration this week. I hope this really helped you get very clear if you're burnt out or not, if you need some extra support, and if you could just prioritize yourself this week and take care of yourself, because that is super, super important. There's only one of you. You are important. I'm sending you so much love. Please let me know what's happening for you. Just remember, the universe has your back, and with peace and love, take care.